Alright, everybody, back with Agito, episodes 21 to 25. Sorry for it being a few weeks in between recordings of these and uploading them. I have a summer job that honestly drains me, and then I have a social life with friends. So, yeah, um, and I do things on my days off. But anyways, back to Agito, episode 20. So, this is just seemingly another link in the chain episode, but it also is actually pretty good in terms of what it does. So, it's pretty straightforward in terms of what they do for the plot. There's not really a ton going on in terms of an A and B plot. Basically, we get Rio mostly, I think, recovering from his like whatever the fuck is going on with him. His body, like, I guess, drying out and whatever. Um, and Shoichi takes care of him and lets him just rest up in Aki's apartment, which is all fine and dandy. Um, we get Aki using her psychic powers to fend off the unknowns that are coming in from whatever dimension they're from. And she actually uses her powers in very interesting ways. The very first time we see it in this episode, she uses her powers of what was it? Telekinesis, I think it is, to grab hold of a sword that the red leopard enemy thing uh tries to use. Like, he summons it out of their dimension and uses it to attack her, and then she grabs hold of it and stabs him with it to distract him. He obviously doesn't die from that, nor does he get really sufficiently wounded, but at the very least, she definitely uh, keeps him there for a second while she runs away. Then she runs into Shoichi because when she's running away, he just happens to be there. I can't remember if he sensed that she was in trouble or if it's just a coincidence, but yeah. They talk for a bit, and she admits to Shoichi that she lied to him about them being in a relationship and knowing each other before he lost his memory. Um, and uh, she says, I think it's that, like, they shouldn't see each other again. Basically, or they don't have to see each other. Basically, she says to him that the main reason that she lied to him was because she wanted him to be able to use his powers to defend her from the unknowns. But um, the but because she's developed her own powers and everything. Granted, she doesn't outright tell him that she has psychic powers. Um, she just says that she's strong enough to defend herself. Basically, because of that, she no longer needs his help, and um does or and yeah does that, or and says that. So we get that, but then Shoichi, because he and Rio introduce themselves after Rio wakes up, um, he tells her that the guy is waiting for her in her apartment. Granted, he can't really remember the guy's name. He remembers his surname rather than his first name for some reason. Ashihara. Um, but yeah, so I don't think she really knows who he's talking about as a result. And I will say it's a little bit of good comedy here with the fact that he can't remember the right name. Um, it's just a bit funny. Um, so then he takes her to see him, and she believed that Rio was dead. basically her whole plot in this episode is she's going after the police force for killing him, or at the very least, she thought that they killed him, because the last time she saw him, he got gunned down in, I think, a couple episodes ago, by the police. So, yeah. And I don't think I can't remember if I addressed that or not. Basically, he did get done. He did get gunned down. Then he fought them. Then, uh, during that battle, I think they got distracted by something else, and then he managed to slip away. But then he detransformed, and then he fell unconscious on the ground and everything. So, yeah. Um, but Agi then runs away because, I think because it's either she's scared to see him or she didn't expect to see him, so it's basically a scare for her. Um, but he basically wants to have them continue seeing each other, because as he says to Shoichi, what was it? Basically, I think she said she can, or he said she can protect him or something like that. Can't exactly remember from the subs, but it's very important to him that he continues seeing her. So yeah. But we see that the unknown from earlier plus another one are still hunting her down. Rio starts fighting the red leopard guy in his gills form. And then Shoichi, because he detects that Aki's in danger, he goes to where she is, transforms into Agito, and starts fighting the other one, which is this, like, blue, I don't think leopard, but some other jungle cat, female unknown. It's really weird when they gave the suit that the suit actor wore, a pair of tits, and then not like a big pair of tits, but a pair of tits, and they had her voiced by an actress. It's really weird. Granted, it was like minimal for the unknowns. For most of the unknowns, it's very minimal like dialogue. It's mainly just like battle foley, like the grunts and the yells and everything, and then at other points like laughs and whatever. But yeah. So then, during that fight, the G3 team gets a tip from an eyewitness, which we never see, but okay. That Agito, so Rio defeats the red leopard guy, then goes to find Aki. Shoichi beats the other unknown. Rio sending the red leopard guy back to, I guess, the dimension that they're from or some shit. Then Shoichi rider kicks the other one and makes it explode. And then Shoichi goes over to Aki because the unknown he just beat seems to have killed her. I think the implication in how they showed it is that it snapped her neck when it had the ability to. And so she was just laying on the ground after that. It may be, I would not be surprised if it will be revealed that maybe she was just put under some sort of like sleep or paralysis or something. Or some other bullshit, but it really looks like it snapped her neck. So, because it twisted her head to such an extent and like fast to, I think, like dislocate some shit in her neck, and kill her. I think is what I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be. So Shoichi, still in his Agito form for some reason, goes over to her and sees that, or basically at least can tell that she is dead. Rio catches up with them and thinks that Shoichi, or more so Agito, killed her. And in his blind rage, he transforms into Gills and starts fighting Shoichi. He charges up his attack that basically like stingers on his heels of his feet, and he jumps up and goes to strike Shoichi with it. And we also see, so basically, Aki, because she was attacking the police, she started attacking, in the last episode as well, she started attacking Hojo. Because he was the one leading the charge against Rio with his SWAT team. So she and unfortunately he's with Hikawa. So both of them are trying to investigate the scene where Hojo was attacked and like putting kind of a stranglehold with the metal and whatever for this, like, I'm not sure what it's called, but like this like red and black like thing on the road that they're on. But yeah. So after that, I think they go to investigate something else. Or no, actually, when they're driving along, Aki is using her psychic powers to make the car tip forward. Stop it and then tip it forward. They get ejected from the car by her, and she flings Hikawa to the side, bashes him into a tree, I believe, and he gets knocked out. Hojo, she uses the car to bash him away. So she's kind of not really going too easy on Hikawa, but she's going easier on him than Hojo, and she really, really seems to want to kill Hojo. Because she thought that he killed Rio with his SWAT team. So, yeah. So Hikawa's just knocked out. He eventually wakes up, and then he gets to Hojo. And that's when he gets the word from the G3 team that Agito and Gills are fighting, and they're deploying the G3 suit. And they take off in their truck to bring it to him. He gets dressed up in his G3 suit, ready to go out, and I just had the word in my head. What the fuck is the word? To fight, I guess. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but it'll work. Agito and Gills and everything. So this is kind of coming to a head in regards to all three of these guys fighting each other, and it's funny because none of them know. Like, all of them are the different. I guess G3 is technically a secondary rider, but like none of them know that each of them are in these suits. Shoichi has an early friendship with Hikawa. He barely knows Rio. Rio had a confrontation with Hikawa. I like how they're playing this like dynamic and everything. To me, it's just pretty good. I like it a lot. And everything. Sucks that Aki apparently died. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they either revive her or say that it was something else or something. It just genuinely looked like she got her neck snapped. So, yeah. But that is basically it. And I'm assuming Hojo, they have like maybe a nurse or something tending to him off screen. But yeah, because he seemed to, because he got bashed against, I think he got bashed against the wall of a building. I'm assuming he has a concussion, so he's going to be out for the count for a bit. or out of the way for a little bit. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I do also like how Shuichi treats Ryo, even though Ryo doesn't really care for him. He gave him food and everything, Shoichi, and that like stuff with bread that apparently he made himself and everything. So yeah, there's also a thing where Mana, when Shoichi tells her what Aki told him about lying to him about them being in a relationship, she is ecstatic and she says that Shoichi could come back to their house and everything, and also that they can get sushi together, and it's her treat. Which I'm wondering why she has money. Apparently, I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, I don't really have too much else to say on this one. It's just pretty straightforward, and I like the way that the plot is progressing. So yeah, on episode 22. All right, so this one picks up right where the last one left off, and with Agito and Gills fighting, and uh, I I do like a lot of the choreography. Basically, Shuichi uh, counters Ryo's rider kick, I guess, with I think his own kick, not necessarily his rider kick, but a kick to him to make sure that the stinger on the end of his heel doesn't hit him, and they both continue fighting. I do like the fact that a lot of Kamen Riders don't seem to use like weapons a lot of the time. Not to say that they don't, but they don't a lot of the time like to use weapons. So it's very hand-to-hand combat, very CQC in that way. And honestly, it's pretty good in terms of the fight choreography with this. But then when they get into a warehouse, because it's Tokusatsu, it's got to have a warehouse at some point during a fight. Hikawa comes in the G3 suit and starts fighting off Gills. Because he knows Agito is more or less on their side, the police's side and everything, and he doesn't want to hurt Agito, he goes after Gills and and fights him off decently. And Shuichi also gets in on fighting him, or on fighting Gills and everything with him. Just trying to make sure that Hikawa doesn't get hurt. Shuichi also finds out that Hikawa is in the G3 suit, not necessarily that. I don't think he's had. Yeah, no, he's had a few run-ins with Hikawa in the G3 suit, but he never knew it was him. And Ryo cracks one of the sides of the helmet, and then it falls off when they both get into a scuffle and everything. But Shuichi fends off Ryo and then gets him and Hikawa away. We don't necessarily get what I thought was going to be maybe a quick scene of Shuichi dropping off Hikawa on outside the building somewhere, and the police come, and then he has to take off with Hikawa, maybe wanting to talk to Agito, but being unable to because of timing and everything. But yeah, basically after then, it's established that the police, after the G3 team talk and everything with what is his name? I'm trying to remember. I think it's Takahiro. Is that it? Basically saying to Sumiko that the G3 suit doesn't seem to be up to the standard of fighting the unknowns, and she doesn't get mad at him, mainly because she promised not to. before he said that. But basically, she resolves herself to design a new version of the G3 suit, and we later find out that that is called the G3X. So yeah, a vastly upgraded version of the suit and everything, and it's honestly very interesting. But before we get on with that, just let me, or just for me to talk about this a little bit more. We do see that Aki is being taken off by EMTs, and that she is dead. She's covered with a, not like a tarp, but sort of like a blanket or whatever they cover bodies with when they take them out on stretchers and deliver them to the hospital and whatever. So yeah, so her neck did get snapped in the last episode. So yeah, would not be surprised if they revive her at some point later on in the series. But yeah, and so with that, Rio is obviously feeling not too great about losing Aki and everything. So yeah. So during this, during this next stretch of the episode, we see Shoichi go back home to the professor and Mana's and Taichi's house to live with them. And then he later on, basically he's in a funk, and later on he brings the professor something that he wanted, Yoshihiko, right? He brings him something that he forgot at the house, and then the professor invites Shoichi to go out to dinner with him and Mana and Taichi, obviously, later that night. I think basically as a thing to cheer him up. And then, and Shoichi accepts. And then after that, he's walking out of the university. And Sumiko actually catches up with him. I assume because she saw him. But yeah, but then she invites him, I guess, to have lunch. And so they do at a, I assume, nearby restaurant. And they have a bit of a talk where Shoichi explains to her that about everything about Aki and her leading him on and then him losing her and everything. And he explains to her that like he doesn't feel the way he does because he lost her, but more so because, as he says, the world seems bigger now, but also more empty because she's gone. That's basically the feeling that he gets. Because you gotta remember, he didn't really have, in my opinion, at the very least, it seems like to me, he didn't really have genuine, full feelings for her. It's just that he was more, I think he was more intrigued as to what living with her and being in a relationship with her could bring him. But with him finding out that she was just stringing him along, yeah, no, he feels like shit because, well, she kind of treated him like shit, I'm not going to lie. But, yeah. So then Sumiko asks, what will you do to fill the hole, basically, because, I think he says that he has, like, there's, like, a void or a hole in his heart and everything. She asks him what he plans to do to fill his heart, or fill the void, and, he's basically resolved to do what he can to fill that hole in his heart. And he decides to start doing that by doing an aggressive, like, cleaning of the house and everything. So, yeah. So then, So before that, we saw that the police, like I said earlier, are um they are greenlighting the development of the new G3 suit. They're also, however, greenlighting the production of a new way to combat the unknowns altogether with what Hojo has planned to do, and I think it's called the V1 suit. I think is what it's called, and Hojo then shows Sumiko um the list of people that he has on his team, helping him design the suit and everything. And so yeah, so then Sumiko goes to the professor, or basically the one of the guys, and the one that Hojo meets with first is one of the professors at the university that Sumiko went to. And basically, she tries to show him some of the plans for the GX suit, is what it's called, I believe, or no, G3X, the G3X suit. And he determines that she's only doing it to scare him off of working on the V1 suit, and she admits to it basically because he knows her that well. Um, and basically, he doesn't want to step away from working on the V1 suit, and he also calls her out for trying to discourage him from working on the V1 suit. And then also shits on her life, basically, is how I'd describe it, by saying that he never liked her and everything. When basically back when they were in, or when they were at the university and everything, or when she was at it. This coming after he basically exchanged pleasantries with her, and basically it seemed like he was glad to see her after so long and whatever. He flipped on a fucking dime when it came to that, and I'm just like, you fucking asshole. Like, granted, I think it's just more of a professional thing, but like, you fucking asshole. Like, you're really gonna treat her like garbage, huh? Granted, she was trying to manipulate him, so I do understand some type of negative reaction, but I didn't think that that was gonna be the reaction exactly. But you know, so yeah. Also, I need to say this during Sumiko's lunch with Shoichi, she she like it seems like she can. I mean, this may have been established in a previous episode. I can't remember. She seems like she can hold her own in terms of a drinking contest. Like, she orders at least five, I think, 4 or 5, like, big mugs of fucking beer at at the restaurant while they're eating. And she doesn't seem to get drunk at all, not even a little tipsy. The most we get is when she goes back to work and she starts to work on or she starts to show Hikawa and Takahiro the plans for the G3X suit. She hiccups a little bit. That's about it, though. So yeah, I also want to say when she's eating with Shoichi, she also says that someone very important to her, close to her, whatever, also died, and everything. And when she leaves as well, she says, "I'll try to not like you too, or dislike you too," to the professor. So yeah, bit of a weird interaction. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, but yeah, it's just unexpected. I didn't expect the show to go like that. 'Cause usually shows like this kind of don't. But I don't hate it. But yeah. So then, uh, they put Hikawa through a simulation battle with basically a VR version of the new G3 suit. Um, Basically, they have what seems like maybe a mix of a VR room with the gravity room from Dragon Ball, specifically Dragon Ball Z, that Vegeta likes to train in, where like there's extended pressure put on his body like he was wearing the real G3 suit and everything. And they put him through that to have him fight a simulated version of one of the unknowns and everything, just to see how it will affect his body and how ready he is for it. Um, and what ends up happening is as he continues fighting the unknown, after he's done, his body gets exerted so much that he just passes the fuck out. Um, and even after Sumiko goes in and takes off his helmet for the VR training, um, he just falls to the floor, and she tries to like shake him to wake him up and everything. So yeah, so then while that's happening, we get Shoichi getting a sense about a new or two new unknowns that are trying to attack a woman, a businesswoman, I think, and he goes to save her. There's a couple of policemen that are tailing the woman to keep an eye out for the unknowns, and they see them appear out of nowhere and go to stalk the woman before attacking her. And they stop the unknowns from attacking the woman, but they either die or get knocked out themselves. So yeah, there was also a thing earlier on in the episode where there's this guy with a guitar case, so I'm some kind of musician. He's going down an escalator, and I think it's the same unknowns attack him, and basically they phase him through. I think it's above. They phase him. They phase his arm through the concrete. That's above them, in above the roof of where they are, and yeah, we get confirmation of that because I think it's Hojo says to Hikawa that basically it's like it's like the ground swallowed him up, I think is what he says. That's at the very least I think what the translation says in the subtitles. So yeah, extra fucked up and everything. So yeah, so I like how this episode goes. Not only in the chain episode, but not a bad one in my opinion. Has just interesting stuff. I do like Shoichi's resolve that after Sumiko just asks him what he plans to do to help himself get over what just happened with Aki, Shoichi shows his resolve by saying, "I'll do my best to do what I can to get over it." And that in turn also helps that helps her get resolved to continue working on the G3X suit. I think I'm pretty sure it's after she has the quick back and forth with the professor and Hojo and everything. So yeah, I do like that. I think that is really really good that indirectly Shoichi helped one of the secondary characters and everything advance their plot and everything. I like how we get in this series we get indirect like actions being taken by the protagonist, the main character, and it ends up affecting things outside of his like radar and everything. I also do like that Shoichi finds out in this episode that Hikawa is in the G3 suit and everything. Because he previously didn't know that, and it's very interesting. They just dropped that reveal here at the beginning of the episode, and we'll see where it goes from here in regards to that. So yeah, guys, on episode 23. Alright, so episode 23, and funny enough, I was watching this on YouTube, and like a third of the way through is when Toei, or the people who are running the Toei Tokusatsu World official YouTube channel, decided to private it before I could finish the episode. But it's fine. I have the some like raw Blu-ray rips that were also like compressed down, but they still look fine of the show. And I've got to say, even though it's clearly an upscale of the older TV slash DVD masters, it still beats the hell out of the presentation that Toei has on YouTube. Because I'm not gonna lie, it seems like Toei's using like older DVD masters for the show that are like poorly upscaled to 720p and just do not look good whatsoever. But yeah, and it's also funny because I downloaded Blu-ray rips of Kabuto, and apparently with Hibiki on, which is before Kabuto, the series before Kabuto, they actually saved HD versions of the episodes in 720p, but still beats the hell out of whatever Toei's using, which again I think are like DVD rip or DVD masters that are at best like either 480i or 480p. The Blu-rays are clearly upscaled from 480i for Agito at points, because some of the shots look interlaced rather than in progressive scan, but the rest of the show looks fine. There are some shots though during the battle, the final fight basically between Agito and the Unknown for this episode, where they're quick shots, but they look like they were shot on VHS tape, and they stand out right next to the other shots. Yeah, I'm really, I really wish that Toei would, because they shot these shows from Kuga to, I think it's Fai's came before Hibiki. Let me just check. Because I had the Wikipedia page opened. Blade. Blade was before Hibiki. So they shot all of the Heisei era on like digital cameras in 1080i or 1080p, but they mastered the shows before Hibiki in 480i or 480p, whichever one. And the Blu-rays unfortunately use upscales of those 480p masters rather than re-editing the shows into 1080p. And someone told me when when I left a comment about this on Reddit in a thing for an old kind of an older post, like a few-year older post, talking about the HD masters and everything for Kamen Rider, and I said basically that they could get like a skeleton crew of editors to and dig out the old like fuck do you call them, takes, the raw footage of the takes that they used for these shows, and just re-edit the shows to the like audio masters and everything, and save the episodes in 1080p. The thing about this is, minus the special effects shots, which they would need to recomposite and then also redo the special effects for, but at the same time, it's like very minimal, I would say, for a lot of the special effects and everything. Most everything is shot pretty practically, and this is still in the era where CGI was new for these shows, but like they did not overly use them. They mainly used them for like transitions and some like light special effects stuff. So literally these would be easy to recomposite and then do their best to recreate the visual effects and everything. I'm just saying. And they might actually end up looking better. But yeah, because they would have shot them in a way that also would have made them easy to composite and everything together, I would think. But yeah. Um, but anyways, yeah. So I ended up watching this through the Blu-ray rips mixed with. I download the episodes from the YouTube channel, with Video Proc converter, and it also allows me to download the subscripts from the YouTube upload. So literally just taking the raws, having the YouTube scripts. There you go. But anyways, yeah, so I had to watch it for that, and not too bad of a way to watch it, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so the only thing was it like the picture like froze, but that might have been because I had it paused for a few minutes. But anyways, and then I just like restarted the episode, and it was fine. But yeah, so anyways, so to get to the plot of the episode, it basically deals with the other half of what was going on in the last episode, which last episode I would say was kind of like mostly focused on Shoichi, while the other bit was focused on the police stuff. In this, it's like minimally focused on Shoichi because well, we've already gotten his stuff from the last episode, and we're focused mainly on the police stuff. So with the development of the G3 suit, or the G3X suit, Hikawa, like I said in the last episode, he passes out after the training in the simulation room with it, and he gets checked out by some doctors. He undergoes a CAT scan and then an actual physical exam by a doctor, and after Sumiko points out a bruise on his right arm, and basically it's determined that he has a lot of I'm trying to remember what it was called, but it was like basically a lot of damage to his muscles. And we have certain shots of him where beforehand where he I think it's either beforehand or maybe it's after this, where he clearly is still in a bit of physical pain from it, but he's trying his best to not let it show because he doesn't want to be replaced as operator of the G3 suit, to which Sumiko is thinking of replacing him because of the fact that the new G3X suit has an AI that determines the best course of action for dealing with whoever it's fighting. And it kind of needs the operator to be more in sync with its decisions, or else the operator is going to be hurt in the process. I have no idea how that makes any sense, but there you go. So she wants to offer Shoichi the position as the G3 suit operator. And Shoichi, she tells him to think about it, and Shoichi says he will. But Hikawa doesn't want to be replaced as a G3 suit operator and everything. To the point where he tries to pick up some tofu that Shoichi serves him and Sumiko. And at first he doesn't. I think he loses it, but then he picks up another piece, or maybe it's the same piece, and is able to pick that in. Basically, it's sort of a metaphor for the fact, or not a metaphor, but it's like a showing that like he is pretty tense and everything, and pretty, or not like calm enough to really do that sort of thing. Even with, I think it's a more softer tofu, is what Shoichi tells him, that he probably couldn't even pick that up with how he is. And he does screw up picking it up, and he basically like makes the pieces of tofu fall into more pieces and everything. So yeah. So then he I'm trying to think. He well, that happens before they just take off and everything. He also Hikawa tries to bring up the fact that he's never seen Shoichi have a license for his motorcycle, but like Shoichi gets out his wall and just shows him that he does have a license for it. Hikawa tries to bring up the fact that he's an amnesiac, so for some reason that disqualifies him from getting a motorcycle, from being able to ride a motorcycle, like being able to learn how to do it and then take the driver's test for it and then get the license. It's it's really faulty logic, but I think that that's the point of it. Because Shoichi instantly proves him wrong by showing him his license for it, and it's like, yeah. Um, so then, so I think this is before that last part. I'm sorry, it's like late at night, and I'm a bit tired, even though I took a nap earlier. But anyways, so, Shoichi, or no, not Shoichi. Before this, I think it was, we see, the unknown that was left over from the last episode because Shoichi couldn't get rid of it. And it got away before he could. It's attacking more people, and who shows up but Hojo in the V1 armor, or V1 suit. And he basically, it has a weapon, it has a gun weapon that allows it to fend off the unknown, and it runs away, and then Hojo, for dramatic effect, basically just takes off his helmet and reveals that it's him under the suit. And but unfortunately, because it's still in testing, he doesn't pursue the unknown and everything. So yeah. So we have this thing going where like Sumiko is trying to like outdo them and everything with the G3X suit. So when it comes time to show off the capabilities of both suits, after Hojo does the target training with the V1 suit, when Hikawa comes in, because it was sorry, I'm trying to remember names here. Takahiro, when he says to think of Hikawa's feelings, Sumiko gives him another shot at using it. So when Hikawa goes in and Hojo is not intending to use it, but still like holding the gun pointed towards him a bit, the AI in the suit turns on and it starts fighting Hojo and everything, and like I think knocks him out, also beats the shit out of the suit that he's wearing. And it seems like Hikawa doesn't mind that this is happening. I'm assuming he's trying to take what Sumiko said about Shoichi into account and say that, and try to like be more calm and reserved and everything, and just let the AI determine what he's gonna be doing, because it doesn't seem like he's also like knocked out or anything. It seems like it's him. So there's that, and before he can actually do the target test, the unknown shows back up, and he goes to fight it. Shoichi also goes to fight it and turns into Agito to do so, but then gets shown up by Hikawa in the G3 suit, where he uses a new like machine gun weapon to kill the unknown. But then he starts, I think it's mainly the AI, like turns on Shoichi and starts launching, like, I think it's bullets at him. And then that's where the episode ends. So, very interesting turn of events with this episode. And yeah, there's not much to it other than that we show Hikawa being more high-strung and everything, and wanting to continue being in the G3 suit, which is interesting that he's come this far from where he was, where like he was accepting his role as being in the G3 suit, but he acknowledged that if he could, or if anyone else who was more suited to the G3 suit could come along and be the operator, he would step aside for it. But now I think he's starting to take Sumiko's side. Plus, he's starting to see, I think, more of Hojo's like shitty attitude. I'm not gonna lie, and what was it? He sees that, and I think he's wanting to show Hojo up as a result. Plus, he's wanting to prove himself capable of using the new G3X suit and everything. So yeah, Hojo, he's Hojo. He's just kind of a smarmy jackass. So I don't know. The fact that Sumiko wants Shoichi to be wearing the G3X suit is interesting. Ultimately, I don't think it's gonna really go anywhere. Plus, the higher ups at the police station don't I don't think want him to be in it either, because like they bring up the fact that he was arrested for obstructing like police procedure and everything is, I think, what they say, or what the guy says. And also he's just not someone who's like trained for that and everything. But yeah, and then the fact that Sumiko tries to put more faith in Hikawa after being talked to about it, I think is actually pretty good in terms of her character development. She's very headstrong and doesn't really think of too many things outside of her own point of view for things. So I like that we got that with her. And everything. There's also a weird gag a couple times where Takahiro, for some reason, thinks that he's going to be the one replacing Hikawa in the G3 suit. Even though it's just like, bro, you've never been considered for this. I don't know why you would think this. But, yeah. So, yeah. So I don't really think I have too much else to say on this. I do like where this is going. I like the pacing of it, and I do like the character development we're giving Hikawa and Sumiko. It's very nice. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes in the next episode. So on we go to episode 24. Alright, so the episode picks up where the last one left off, and we're greeted to the rest of the battle between Agito and the G3X armor. They fight for a little bit. G3X shoots at Agito, and they keep going until Hikawa basically passes out and drops to the ground. Shuichi's obviously worried about him, but because the police are coming in to get him, he takes off and everything before they can see him. So, yeah. It's basically revealed through Sumiko that the way that the G3X's AI interacted with Hikawa's brain, I think it is, they like collided, where the AI fought like it was fighting any other unknown, and it was basically going off of Hikawa's want to do that, basically, if I'm remembering the explanation right. So basically, yeah, the AI was interacting with Hikawa's brain, just not in a great way. So yeah, so then they go to or I think this is after they check on Hikawa in the hospital. and he is recuperating in the hospital. And he tells them when Sumiko asks him what happened, he remembers up until he walked in the G3 suit or armor, and when Hojo pointed the gun at him that he had, that was basically where he stopped where he stops remembering what exactly happened. And the G3X AI does not interact well with his brain. And yeah, but then on top of that, his body is still in even worse physical condition than it was beforehand, specifically because of that kind of stuff. Or with how he does how his body interacts with the G3 suit. So we have that. And yeah, so he stays in the hospital for a good chunk of the episode until he figures that Sumiko is going to take the fall for him in regards to the G3X suit and everything. And so he goes to ask Shuichi to wear the G3X armor for him. Shuichi initially rejects it, mainly because he remembers the fight, and he realizes that was Hikawa in the suit. And he even says something about how that could be him, even though he saved him so many times before, and that's how he repays him, and basically stuff like that, because he's confused about that. But then when Hikawa asks him what he's talking about, he's just like, oh, nothing. But he still refuses to wear the G3X suit, and then he just still declines. But when Hikawa passes out on the kitchen floor because he's trying to help Shoichi out with what he's doing, or help out. I don't know if I said out twice there. I don't know. But anyways, he passes out, and Shoichi brings him up to his room to let him rest in his bed until he wakes up. And because of how Hikawa is, I think that's how this is. Shuichi, when he asks him again, accepts to be the new G3 operator. So, yeah. Meanwhile, while that stuff's going on, we have Sumiko, like I said, taking the fall. But before that, she goes to the professor from her old school and asks for his input on the G3X suit and everything, and he was already given the blueprints to the suit and everything, and he does commend her on how well she designed it, and her skills as a technician, I believe, or whatever. He said even though he never liked her, he had to give it to her on that, and at the very least, he can be man enough to admit, and mature enough to admit that there are some good things about Sumiko, even if he doesn't really care for her. So yeah, but she ends up taking the fall for it anyways. But then basically Hojo, because he doesn't think he gets a sincere enough apology for it, or for what happened with Hikawa in the G3X suit, kicking his ass and taking out the V1 suit. Basically, he's basically gonna try and get them removed from consideration and everything, because he does have what looks like a broken arm. Because it's in a sling cast, or just a sling. Maybe it's only dislocated, but yeah. we don't see a cast, so it's just in a sling. So I'm assuming he was just dislocated or just badly hurt. To that point. So yeah, and he does say that he does forgive Sumiko, even though to him he didn't get a sincere enough apology from her. But yeah, that is just how that shit works and everything, you know. And the thing about Sumiko is she is trying to be a good friend to Hikawa, and a good partner in regards to the Force and everything. With what she's doing, she does try to take the fall for what happened. She basically says that, or to the higher ups, that it was the fault of the suit and not Hikawa, and then she recommends Hikawa being the operator of the V1 suit when it's ready to go. To which Hojo's in disbelief of that. So yeah, so she says she's willing to take whatever disciplinary actions they decide to give her, and yeah. Meanwhile, as well, a new unknown shows up because the G3 suit did take out the other one from the previous episode, and it starts phasing, or it phases a woman through the ceiling of I think it's an office building that her and another chick work at. It seems like they're taking a break from their jobs to play some badminton. And the woman who falls through the floor accidentally makes the birdie fly over the fence, and it plummets to the ground. And they're all the way on the tip top of the building. So yeah, the other chick goes down the fire escape, I believe, to go get it. However, she hears her friend scream when she's not too far down, so she goes back up, sees that a friend is gone, and we see the first chick phase through many different floors of the the office building, and she ends up recorporealized, I guess, after she falls down a lot, to the point where I guess she hit terminal velocity, I think is what happened, or close to, because when the monster or the unknown makes her fully tangible again, she hits the floor, and I think that's when she dies. So yeah, so we have an unknown plot going. So yeah, and Hojo vows to, what's his name, that I'm trying to remember his name. Takamura, maybe? I don't know. Whichever other policeman is there from the previous episodes. And he vows in the V1 suit to take care of the thing, while the other guy says, don't push yourself. You'll still be a good cop either way. But yeah. And yeah, so we have that. So when Sumiko and Hojo are talking to their the higher ups at the police station, they detect an unknown, but there's also the launching of the G3X suit, because as I said, Shoichi does accept to be the new user of it. So I guess Hikawa briefed him on how to wear the suit and what is gonna happen and how to use it, because Shoichi seems to be familiar with most of the stuff that's going on, and also receptive to the procedures and everything. But it also seems like, because they don't wait for the police to give them permission to launch the G3X suit, it's a thing of what is the word? Proving everything, a proof of concept, basically, for Shuichi to be the new operator of the G3X suit. And Hikawa acts as the operator for it. I think it's Takahiro who is the driver of it, because he's not at the meeting and anything. Maybe he also helped brief Shuichi on what to do. But yeah, and Hikawa, like I said, acts as the technical operator for it in the truck. And when Shuichi gets to where the unknown is, Hikawa like types in shit into the computer and gives him access to some of the weapons and everything. And we leave off on Shuichi firing the gun that's part of the G3X suit at the unknown. And that's where we leave off. So, an interesting episode. I do like where it starts and how we get to the end and everything and where it ends off. I think that is pretty good. Again, a bit of another link in the chain episode, but I do like where it goes. I do like how we are getting character development for Sumiko in this little bit of the story, because up until now, she hasn't really been too front and center in regards to the story. She's always been there, but we get interesting character traits from her, meaning, or like she can drink a lot of alcohol and apparently not get drunk, or she what was it? She is very arrogant and hard-headed and everything, and very not narcissistic necessarily, but very like just like only really thinks of her own goals and everything and how to get to them. But she also does have a softer side where you can tell that she cares for her friends, and she doesn't want to lose to anyone who she thinks is a shitty person, in this case Hojo. And she's trying her best with what is going on, but yeah. But she does want to, she also does, and she's not above taking the hit for Hikawa and everything, and I do like that. It is making her a very likable character, even if she does have some rough edges and everything. So yeah, I also just have to say though, I wonder if anyone has ever thought maybe the character, not necessarily the actress, but the character maybe is a little neurodivergent. She seems to not quite get some social cues and everything, and she always kind of has like resting bitch face, for lack of a better term, like resting bitch face. Like she has a very stoic kind of expression most of the time. And even though she can emote her face, she doesn't do it a ton. So yeah. And she doesn't seem to think of things outside of like what is going on currently in the current situation of everything. Just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, and it just would not be surprising to me if anyone were to think that, or maybe if that was the intent with her, maybe. I don't know. It does set up some realistic, like, character flaws and everything for her, and I do think that she is, for the most part, a pretty flawed character, but not overbearingly so, and not in a bad way. It's just that she has character flaws that she is slowly overcoming, and I do like that. And you just hope that she learns from them and just does her best next time that she gets an opportunity to make things better. So, yeah. Hikawa, I do like as well that he also, I don't think I explained this in the recap, he very much accepts responsibility for what happened with the G3X suit, to the point where he accepts that he doesn't want to be the operator of it anymore, and they need to find someone else. And he also just doesn't want Sumiko to take the fall for him on what happened, because he does blame himself and everything. Because like what was shown in the previous episode, he was definitely very headstrong about it, and he wanted to prove himself. And so when that mixed with, I think, the suit's AI and everything, like it said in the episode, kind of made a potent but also bad mix in terms of the two. So yeah, and I do like Shoichi at the very least giving the G3X suit a try and everything, even though he is Agito. He doesn't want to reveal that to anyone but Mana, because she already knows. Because I think she found out in a previous episode. But yeah. And it's just very interesting how they did this. Hojo is still a narcissistic dickhead, but, like, you know, like I said in the last episode, he was kind of, like, taken out of commission, so, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago, either way, he was taken out of commission for a little bit, and he obviously can't use the V1 armor while his arm is still healing, so you have that, and the very interesting with the unknowns and what they're doing with them here. So yeah, I don't really have too much else to say other than I did like this episode. I thought it was good. So yeah. So we're on to episode 25. Something I completely forgot to mention in the last episode that happened is Shuichi started having dreams about a woman who was calling to him and saying to come over to where she was. I only mention that because it's something that I'm gonna mention later on in this segment. So, yeah. So, we see the rest of the fight with Shuichi as in the G3X suit, and basically he's able to very easily deal with. Did I say easily twice? I think I did. He's very easily able to deal with, or maybe I said able. Whatever. Deal with the unknown that he's fighting, and he uses the G3's weapons to defeat it and everything. And Hikawa is, I think, impressed by it, but yeah, or just amazed or whatever, or maybe a bit confused. So then Hikawa and Sumiko and Hojo and Takahiro are all in front of their bosses at the police station, and the police guys are basically starting to tell them off for, or tell Hikawa off for taking the G3X suit out without permission as a bit of a stunt to show that the G3X suit, as Hikawa says, it was basically a thing to show that the suit itself was fine. It's just that he couldn't be the operator for it. So, yeah. Basically, then Hojo, I think he suggests himself to be the pilot of the G3 suit and everything. So yeah, so then the rest of this episode, for the most part, in regards to this plot, it deals with Sumiko coming to terms with how the G3 suit is programmed and everything, because so the V1 suit is being shelved, basically, is what they tell her. And so she goes to the professor and asks him to resume work on the V1 suit, because, as she says, it's not a bad design and everything, and perfectly capable of dealing with the unknowns. But then he basically kind of, like, mocks her a bit, saying, not a bad design, like, quoting her. And then he says, what was it? He says to her, or basically brings up how the G3X suit's AI is programmed, and telling her it's too perfect and that's its problem. He says to her that the AI is programmed in such a way that it requires a very specific person to use it and everything, and to pilot it, and for them to basically shut down their ego, I think is what happens, or is how he says it, which very few people on the planet are really capable of. So, yeah. And he asked her to consider that. Then she goes to inspect the G3 suit. We see her have a new chip, and he tells her, or we see a flashback with him handing it to her. She asks what it is, and he says it's a chip um, to control the AI. Basically dumbing it down is the gist of it is it basically dumbs down the AI so that it doesn't override uh, the person who's using the suit's brain, and because he says she never considered that the suit is supposed to be used for a human. It was designed to be used for a human, but she didn't really take that into account. So, yeah. So we have that. And when the when the unknown from the previous episode comes back around and everything, she or they launched the G3X suit, and because Hojo is preoccupied, I'll get to that in a second. She calls in Hikawa and has him pilot the suit and tells him to trust her in the fact that he'll be able to pilot the suit, and he does. He takes care of the unknown, while unfortunately Rio comes back in as Commodore Gills and starts fighting Shoichi as Agito again. So yeah. So meanwhile, we see a subplot with Hikawa going to Shoichi to try and get him to explain how he was able to pilot the G3 suit, but then Hojo comes in as well, also wanting to get a sense of the guy who was piloting it, and Shoichi basically is just his usual nonchalant self and everything. And because he was thinking of a magic trick to teach Taichi how to use for, I think, his friend's birthday or something like that, or some kind of party that's gonna happen. Because Taichi was trying to learn to play a song on the recorder for some fucking reason. Like, I know Taichi, he seems around, like, what, 6 to 8 years old, and, like, almost did the meme, and I didn't want to, so fuck that. But anyways, he was gonna learn a song on the recorder at the same time as his friend, but then Shoichi, because Taichi was asking him if he knows any tricks, Shoichi then says to him, how about I teach you a magic trick? So yeah. So he learns this magic trick, or maybe he already knew it, I don't know. But like basically you take a glass cup, or I guess just any kind of cup, you crinkle some or a newspaper around it, and you show it to everybody underneath the newspaper. Then you place it back on the table, and then when you smack it down, the cup disappears. Don't really know what happens, but they do reveal how the trick is done, because he asks Hojo if he wants to do it, and so Hojo takes up the challenge. He knows how to do the trick, so he does it. So, yeah. So then we see, I think it's the next day, Hojo going to talk to Shoichi again. He's actually, at first, in their first meeting, surprised at who Shoichi is, because he's never actually seen him before. And then he, I guess, starts talking, or wants to start talking to him, but the unknown comes around again, and Shoichi goes off to confront it as Agito. But Hojo, he wants to learn, or he wants to try to, know how to do a new magic trick that Shoichi showed him how to do, or was showing him, which was you take a handkerchief, you take a thing of rope, you have the rope uh, go through the handkerchief, I guess, or maybe just part of it or some shit, and then you use scissors to cut it, but then you pull the rope back through, and the rope is repaired when you reveal it. He can't do it at first, so he spends time learning how to do it. It's very interesting how they do the like timing of everything, because he learns how to do it after I guess trying multiple times. Um, when Hikawa wins against the unknown and Shoichi, so he fights Ryo for a bit, and Ryo kind of overpowers him in regards to like raw physical strength. So they're on top of a thing, and Ryo like punches him into the water below them, and he thinks he won, so he transforms back to normal and then goes off. And then Shoichi gets detransformed as well, but washes up on the shore. And that's when he remembers more. I guess it was kind of maybe a near-death experience where his life flashed before his eyes. He remembers that the woman he was seeing in his dreams, because he kept having the dreams, was his sister. And because I think when he sees more of the dream, more of the memory, I think she calls him brother. So, or maybe he in the dream calls her sister. I think he in the dream calls her sister, actually. And he's just like, right, that's my sister. And then he says, I remember everything. So basically, apparently he's gotten all his memories back from that, which pretty cool. Like, especially when this is halfway through the series. I do like that. You get a plot reveal like this halfway through the series, and it shakes up, or is going to shake up the status quo. Something also I forgot to mention, I think it was the last episode. Mana, I really don't get her deal. It definitely was last episode, actually. I don't really get her deal. She doesn't seem to want Shoichi to be able to go off and, like, go back to his old life, or at least try to mix the two lives. I don't know. I think, granted, I think she thinks that the woman in his dreams is maybe a girlfriend or something of his. I don't know. It's just like her attitude, though, is just a bit weird. I understand that maybe she'd be skeptical of it, or maybe she'd be mad about it, but I don't know. It's really odd. But I don't know. There's also a funny joke in the last episode about the Mana's uncle and Taichi's dad. Basically saying to Shoichi he might have been married and might have had a kid. And Shoichi has a funny line where he says to Taichi, "Let me hold you like a," basically hold him like a baby, so that he to see if that jogs any of his memories. And Taichi just doesn't want him to, which, yeah, I don't blame Taichi. But yeah, so yeah, we get a good amount of things going with the plot. It seems like we're getting closer to, because Shoichi already knows Hikawa is G3 and everything, but then also Hojo has met Shoichi and everything. It seems like maybe we're getting close to identity reveals for Shoichi being Agito and Ryo being Gills. Granted, Gills doesn't seem to be too much on the radar, but interesting to say the least. We also have not seen the creepy dude in several episodes. Wonder what's going on with him, so wherever that goes. So yeah. So guys, that is basically it for this podcast episode of my recaps of Agito and my thoughts on the series and everything. I honestly like this stretch of episodes. I think it's been really cool. And everything with how they've progressed the plot and how they've given some character development to some of the secondary characters. Hojo is still a dick. He hasn't really changed much at all. He keeps losing. But then his resolve is to just keep doing what he's doing, how he's doing it, rather than rethink how he's doing things. But yeah, we get character development for Hikawa, we get development for Sumiko, which is nice, we get development for Shoichi in a big way. Granted, he didn't really have too much development in the series up until now, outside of like the Agito powers and learning how to use them and all that shit. But now that he's like regained his memories, it's going to be interesting to see what the second half of the series is doing or is going to do. So yeah, guys. Yeah. So we're gonna go. So the next one is gonna be 26 to 30. So get ready for that. So yeah, guys. Not much else to say. Links to the description, all my shit. Subscribe if you want. And I'll see you guys in the next one. That's the outro for YouTube. But yeah. See you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, before I really sign off, I forgot about this. The Toei subs use the word sortie in it. When Sumiko is describing sending Shoichi into battle as G3. That's really odd to use it like that. Because they could have used the word. I'm trying to remember the sentence. In this case, like in this sortie, Shoichi in this sortie. Basically, they could have just said in this case, or in this situation or something like that. Because sortie, I'm pretty sure, is a French word. So I looked it up on Merriam-Webster, and it means a sudden issuing of troops from a defensive position against the enemy, or one mission or attack by a single plane. I'm assuming they mean it by, or it's meant in the first definition. It's technically not wrong. It's also not it's not usually a word that you hear a lot in English. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even know what it meant. I've heard that word before. I just never knew what the fuck it meant. So it's really odd that they chose to go with that translation of whatever the hell the Japanese word is that she said. Really odd. I'm sure that's probably a more direct, like, translation, but, like, it's more of a French word than English, and you don't hear a lot of people using it in English. But yeah. So yeah, guys, yeah, I will now see you in the next one.